Hi, so my name is Alexis and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm brand new to booktube. I've been watching it for about a year now, but I finally decided to make my own booktube account, and I'm still in the beginning phases of filming and editing, so if it's not the best quality, I apologize. But I thought for today that I would just do the book color tag, I think that's what it's called. So pretty much all you do is you take all the books off your shelf that are one color and then you just talk about them. I think I'm either going to do like blue or pink because that seems to be the books that I have the most of. I'm going to go through that now and I will get back to that when I get there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'm very excited to be here and to join the community, and I hope you guys enjoy watching. It seems like I have the most books in blue, so that's what I'm going to take out. After I take them out of my bookshelf that I should organize them by like shade. I don't think that I'm going to do that because I have 3 stacks of blue books. So I'm just going to go through and answer the questions, but before I do that, I'm just going to quickly organize these into have and have not read because those are the first 2 questions. After organizing them into have and have not read, it turns out that I have read a lot of the blue books that I own. I think that we're going to go through those ones first. I'm just going to go from the top of the stack to the bottom of the stack. This is in no particular order. So the first book is 4 by Veronica Roth, which is pretty much just a Divergent collection of a bunch of short stories told by Tobias's point of view or 4's point of view from the Divergent series. I read this a while ago. I've been meaning to reread the Divergent and the Hunger Games series because I just loved them both so much. This pretty much just recounts a bunch of the stuff that happened in the Divergent series in 4's point of view. I loved this personally. And then we have Mockingjay, which I believe is the last book in the Hunger Games trilogy. I also really loved this. I am a huge dystopian fan, and these are mainly what got me into reading. This pretty much is just the last installment of the Hunger Games trilogy, and of course we do get the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes later. For Katniss's time, this is the last book. And I really liked this one. I cried a lot. It was very enjoyable, and I loved the entire series, and I cannot wait to reread them again. Then we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have only read 3 Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and this by far is my least favorite. I just found that I didn't necessarily care for the Rivera kids, and it just wasn't personally for me. In this one, we just follow Mick Rivera's 4 children as they live their life in Malibu until a fire strikes at their house, and we go through trying to figure out why this fire started, and we watch just the next 24 hours in their day. I'm just not the biggest fan of Mick Rivera, so I think reading about his kids just wasn't necessarily my favorite thing, and I honestly just didn't really care for it at all, but I don't know if I will ever reread this again. I did still like it. I still gave it 4 stars, but it just overall wasn't my favorite. Then we have The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider. I really liked this. I'm a big John Green fan. I've almost read everything by John Green aside from a select few books, and this gave me major John Green vibes. This is pretty much just about Ezra, who was supposed to be crowned Homecoming King, but that was before a bunch of this stuff happened where his girlfriend cheats on him and he shatters his leg, and also before he falls in love with this new girl named Cassidy. This book was beautiful and tragic and so funny. I definitely will be reading more from this author. I really liked it, and it just gave me really great vibes. I'm not going to talk too much about this one just because it is just a graphic novel. I've read all the books in this series by Rena Telgamer. This one is just about these 2 sisters in this car ride over 3 weeks as they're traveling, and it was just really fun. I love it, and I recommend all the books in this series. There's about 5 books that kind of all go together. There's 3 about these sisters, and then there's just 2 other ones that also just kind of seem to go with these ones, and I love every single one of them. There is A House of Salt and Sorrow, which is pretty much just the 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. This was dark and twisted, and it was fantasy. It's pretty much about these 12 sisters who live in a manor by the sea, but they're cursed. So we follow our main character, Annalie. There used to be 12 of them, but 4 of her sisters have died in tragic accidents, and we go through this book figuring out why. This is a very dark version of the 12 Dancing Princesses. I really liked it, and I'm so excited for the sequel to come out. I just found out that there was a sequel for it, and I'm stoked. I cannot wait to read it. This was magical and dark and heartbreaking. I'm not going to talk about this one for too long just because it's a little bit silly, but The Tales of Beedle the Bard, if you've read Harry Potter, you know exactly what this is. It's just a bunch of short story collections about the wizarding world. Then is The Last Battle, which is the last book chronologically in the Narnia series. This one had me sobbing. Let me tell you, I cried like a little baby when I finished this. It wraps up the whole Narnia series. I'm not going to say anything because it will give spoilers to the rest of the series, but I really, really liked it. It was sweet. We have Every Summer After, and I guess this is also like blue and purple, but I just couldn't decide. This is one of my new favorite books. I read this a couple months ago, and it's so good. This is pretty much about Percy and Sam and their love story. It's a childhood friends to lovers, but they fall in love over 6 summers after meeting each other, and then one night something happens and they don't speak to each other for 12 years but are thrown back together because of a funeral. We uncover their love story and why they stopped talking. I loved this. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars. One of my favorite books. Then we have One Silver Summer, which this is pretty much just about Sass, and she is sent to live with her uncle after her mom passes away. She meets this boy who is secretly a prince, and we just watch them fall in love over this summer, and we watch Sass's relationship with horses build. This is a cute little YA romance. I really, really liked it. I've read it twice now. I just reread it like last summer and still enjoyed it a lot. We have Girl Online by Zoe Sugg. I grew up watching Zoe on YouTube and I still do. This is pretty much just about Penny, her blog, and she goes to New York one Christmas and she falls in love with Noah, who she calls her Brooklyn boy, and she blogs about him, but Noah has a secret that we get to unravel throughout this book, and their romance is really cute. This is just really, really good and super, super sweet. Then is the first 2 books in the Shatter Me series. This is pretty much just about our main character Juliet. We're living in this dystopian society and she has powers where she can't be touched. I have only read the first 2 books. I'm currently on the 3rd one and I'm very excited to continue on with the series. It's so good. I've given both of these 5 stars. Then we have Crossed, which is the 2nd book in the Match trilogy. Pretty much the Match trilogy is another dystopian trilogy about this girl called Cassia, and we watch her as she lives in this society where you just get matched to somebody who is destined to be like your soulmate almost, and it was an adventure and a great love story. I wish who she ended up with was different because I liked the other guy better. This is a love triangle. We then have Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I personally am a Colleen Hoover fan. It's about Tate and Miles and their love story. Pretty much Miles is a pilot and also her brother's best friend, so he is kind of off limits, and as is Tate. But this is a dual timeline as we watch Tate fall in love with Miles, but also Miles when he was 18 and his relationship with somebody else. This book was heartbreaking. I sobbed. If you can tell, I'm a crier, okay? But I really, really liked this. It's probably one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books that I've read. I've only read a couple, but it was really, really good. Then we have Instructions for Dancing, which this is more of a turquoise, but I thought I'd still include it anyways. I love Nicola Yoon. She's one of my favorite authors. Every single book she writes, I pick up, without a doubt. Pretty much about Evie and her love story with Evie has this magical power. When she sees 2 people kiss, she can see how their love story is going to end. This book was devastating, actually. I don't think I've ever read a Nicola Yoon book without crying. Every single time, I cry. If you want a clean romance, like YA romance or adult romance, if you want a clean, cheesy, beautiful, great romance, pick up something by Nicola Yoon. Her books are fantastic every single time. Then we have It Starts With Us. I bought this on release day because I really loved It Ends With Us. I had a lot of mixed feelings about this. This pretty much just takes place after It Ends With Us. I'm not going to go into much detail about this because I don't want to spoil It Ends With Us for us, but pretty much we just get Atlas, Lily, and Ryle's life after It Ends With Us. I felt that this was very, very unnecessary, but I liked it, and I've never wanted something to be so unnecessary in my life. I was just so happy that this existed by the end. Then we have Brides and Brothers. This is a adult clean romance. This book was based off of a movie called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. It's just a modern retelling of that. You probably haven't heard of it. The original movie is pretty much about this guy who's just looking for a wife, and he meets one, and he takes her home after they're married, but he is, oh, sorry, I actually have 6 brothers or 7 brothers or something like that. And so she can't stand them, and she's like, we need to marry them off. And so they go find 7 girls to marry his 7 brothers. And that's pretty much what happens in this book too, just a slightly different and in a more modern way. I did not like this as much as the movie. The movie was very, very fun and goofy, and this one just wasn't it. Like, the scene that I wanted, they get snowed in the movie. We didn't get that. That was like the one part that made the movie what the movie was, because that was how they all fell in love, but we just didn't get that. This copy is a little bit beaten up because all of my friends have borrowed it because we all have watched the movie, but it was just an overall fun read. Then we have Wonder. This is probably the book that I have reread the most. I loved it. It's like my favorite book when I was a kid. It's pretty much just about August in 5th grade as he goes to public school for the first time with a facial deformity that everybody judges him on. But this book is so heartwarming and it gets me every time. I cried watching the movie multiple times actually. It's wonderful. It has so many great lessons in it. I just adored it. And last book for the books that I have read is The Gentleman and the Thief. This is also a clean adult romance. This is the 2nd book in Dreaded Penny Society series. Pretty much, I can't even tell you about this one, just in case anybody wants to read it, because it gives spoilers for the last book. Pretty much, these books are based off the Penny Dreadful Society, which is just a bunch of gentlemen who are pretty much like the government and the detectives in this society, and every single book follows a different one of those gentlemen and their love story. This one is pretty much just about a gentleman who goes to Anna Newport Market and is under disguise and ends up falling in love with her. He's trying to figure out who this Phantom Fox is, and something I really like about these ones is that with every single Dreadful Penny Society person that we get, they're all authors, and so we get their author stories in this, which I really, really liked. It was like one of my favorite parts about reading this is these stories that they write. It was so good. Now on to the books that I have not read. First is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. This is just a little playbook that I have to read for my English class. I have no idea what it's about. I'm not going to go into depth about this. Then we have Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I haven't read anything by her, but I'm really, really excited to pick this book up. Pretty much just about Alex and Ava's love, and it's in a series. I honestly have no idea what this one's about. I'm trying to keep it blind for myself, but when I do read this and give a wrap-up of it, you guys will know what it's about when I talk about it. And then I have the Indigo exclusive version of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I have not yet read this. I'm scared of it. I honestly also do not know what this one's about at all. I know that she's like a time traveler or something like that, or gets stuck in time, something like that. Another part of the tag was what ones of the ones that you haven't read were you most excited for. This one I'm super, super excited for. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is definitely one that I'm most excited for, along with Twisted Love, because I've just seen these two everywhere. And then we have November 9th by Colleen Hoover. Have not read this one, and I'm glad that I got it in the new covers. I like the new covers way better. I like how most of them have flowers and stuff on them, so they're all consecutive and matte. I think I'm going to read this one relatively soon. I was just going to save it for November 9th, but I don't think I have the patience for that. Again, I don't know what this one's about. I want to go in blind. I know that it's pretty much just like 2 people, Fallon and Ben, meet every year on November 9th. I believe that's the premise of the book. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that one, but I'm also really excited for this one. And then we have the first book in the Bridgerton series. I have not read this. I've seen every single episode of Bridgerton. I have all the books. I have not picked them up yet because I'm a little bit scared of them. I watched Bridgerton when it first came out, so I sort of don't have an idea what this is about, but I believe this one's about Daphne and Simon. Marriage of convenience, I think it is. I think they get married so that she doesn't have to marry somebody else or so her family will leave her alone or something. In the Bridgerton series, we pretty much just follow the one family, the Bridgertons, and all of their love stories. So I'm actually really, really excited to read these because I'm super excited to get to see all the other characters. And then another Bridgerton novel is, this one is In His Kiss. Again, this is somebody else's stories. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. I honestly have no idea what this one's about either. I just want to really get to the Bridgerton series soon. I'm excited for all of them. So, the last book on the books I have not read in blue is Icebreaker. I recently picked this one up, and I know that it's mostly white, but I still wanted to include it. This one's pretty much about Anastasia and Nate, and they both go to the same school, and Anastasia is a figure skater while Nate is a hockey player. One of their rinks is under construction or something like that, and they have to share a rink. And Anastasia's partner gets injured, so he isn't able to practice with her or go to competition with her, and Nate steps in, and that is pretty much all I know about this book. I know it's really spicy. I'm excited for this one overall. My favorite book, out of all of the ones that I showed you, my favorite book was probably Every Summer After. This was just so good. After, I literally immediately bought Love in Other Words because everybody said that these two are so similar, so I'm very excited when I get to Love in Other Words because I really love this one, so I know I'm gonna love that one. For my favorite book cover, I'm gonna have to go with my special edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, just because I have to show you guys. Not only do we have this gorgeous outside, but the inside papers are beautiful, and we have these beautiful cover on the inside. So that would probably take the cake on my favorite book cover. I would have to say my least favorite book cover is probably Crossed. I'm just overall not a fan of the covers that they have going on for the books. Great books, beautiful color choices. Not a big fan of the pictures. A book you want to buy of this cover, I would definitely have to go with Archer's Voice. I really want to read Archer's Voice just because everybody hypes it up so much and says it's so sad. I'm a sucker for sad romances. But I hope you guys liked this video and getting to know me a little bit. I was going to do just like the book talk newbie tag, and maybe I will, but I just wasn't feeling it, and I thought I wanted to do something more fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!